going to be talking with my good friend, Miss Pearl Running Deer. And I don't even know how to introduce her, so we're going to talk about her involvement with the Native American nation, and also she has a horse ranch.
Horses.
She has horses. So I guess if it's not a ranch, maybe she just keeps them in an apartment. I don't know. You do, okay.
Stay there.
All right. I'm sure your apartment has very interesting smell. But ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Miss Pearl Running Deer. All right, so the first question I want to ask you, we kind of talked about this behind the scenes, like on Facebook, I build you as Pearl Running Deer from the Native American nation of South Jersey. I don't want no Donald Sterling problems. How should we address you? How do you address yourself, and how should people refer to you?
Well, it's so great to have you, for me to be here and everything. Thank you very much for having me. A lot of people don't know how to address us because the Americans, which we call them the Plymouth Rock people, well, that's what we Indians call them.
You've been bamboozled.
But we didn't give ourselves that name. This land was called Turtle Island.
Okay.
So it had a name already, and we were Turtle Island natives, and each nation called by its own nation. My father's side is Skokomish, which is out of Washington State, because his grandfather picked his wife up from there and brought him over to the East Coast.
Okay.
And his mother's side is an East Coast native, and my mother's side is also the Choctaw people, and they're East Coast. So I speak Algonquin.
You made that up.
Nope, I speak Algonquin.
Algonquin?
It stands for the A, Algonquin.
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 Okay.
And that, as a matter of fact, that's a lot on the East Coast. A lot of them speak it. It has a little different dialect with each Indian nation,
okay.
But I can basically understand it. And a lot of people don't know our Indian culture. Like I said, I'm glad you brought that out. We usually call ourselves exactly what we are. We either is Skokomish, or in conglomerate, we say we're First Nation people or Turtle Island Native.
I like that First Nation. Okay. Alrighty. From the First Nation, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. I would say, and you can definitely correct me if I'm wrong, that in the 20th century, collectively, America is more sensitive, but we still get it wrong time after time after time with regards to, what's the word I'm looking for? Interacting with First Nation people. I made it a point about a year now in my dealings in media to refer to the professional football team from Washington, D.C. as just that, as opposed to the name that they use. So I guess my question is, like, how do you feel? Where would you say we are? Is your nation making progress or not? Because I really don't know. Every time I listen to a report on the radio or read something, it's either super good or it's just like super crazy bad. Mm-hmm. And I know as a black man, we're not doing as well as some people would like to say we are, but we definitely not. Like, if you listen to the news, they would say, every black woman got to share 355 black men. So, and I don't think it's quite that bad. So where would you say we are right now?
Well, we're the last person, to put it in a on a totem pole, shall we say.
See, I can say that.
I can say that. But recently it was something was filed in Washington against human rights with us, because not one treaty has ever been honored. And in South Jersey, there never was a treaty. So this is still legally our land. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know our history. They just claimed that they're either Blackfoot or Cherokee, and they don't even know, which we're the most easily nation to be found about, because the women kept all the paperwork. I have paperwork back my grandmother kept on both sides from 1888.
Okay.
And I always knew where I came from. So you always know where you come from. You know some of your language, some don't. It was erased during the years when they tried to educate the Indians by taking them to the Catholic schools and taking that away from them. But you always knew your language. You always knew where you came from. There's paperwork. Of course, you know, now people can do DNA and they can find out too.
Right.
But you always knew. And a lot of people don't know we were the first to have papers. We were the first to have numbers. And that's where Hitler got his ideas from. If you read his book, Mein Kampf, he said that's where he got his ideas from. The Americans gave him the blueprint, what he did to people of the Jewish faith. So the Americans were the first with that. And now we have problems with a lot of Americans, I would say white Americans, claiming they're Indian to get federal papers so they can get some of the money from the the casinos and things like that, and the benefits that we cannot get. And they don't know Indians are people of color. You know, that's what we are.
I know that.
we are people of color. And it was last year and the year before, unfortunately we got rained out, but last year, Mr. Steve Young actually had us come down in Atlantic City. It was at the Kentucky Avenue Renaissance. And I brought some from different nations to dance, and people were in awe. They didn't know that this is our regalia. Yes, we know where we come from. Yes, we have our paperwork. Yes, we have our cards. And yes, they heard us talking and speaking. And I had Mr. Young come to one of the powwows, and he was in awe of the different nations that are there. So a lot of people don't know that when they claim they're Indian, if you know what I mean, like, you know, their parents are Indian or something.
What's my hair?
Oh yeah, the hair, the cheekbones, yeah,
the
the whole shebang, and they don't know that we are the most people of this land of Turtle Island, that we know where we came from. It's not like the African Americans didn't know where they came from. They were brought over here. You know, they don't know who their great grandparents are or anything like that. We never lost our heritage. We never lost it. So we know exactly who our relatives are and things like that.
I want to get back to the event that you did with Steve Young over at the, I want to say not the Club Harlem Renaissance, but
Kentucky Avenue.
Kentucky Avenue Renaissance. I heard you use the word Indian 2 or 3 times, and also the word powwow. Are you offended? Behind the scenes, we were talking, and I said, you know what, you can even call me colored, you know, just don't call me boy, or don't call me the N-word. Is Indian, like, I mean, I don't know a lot,
right,
but I know that Columbus was lost, and he mistakenly landed in America, and when he got here, he still didn't know where he was because he thought he was in India. So I don't refer to people as Indian unless they are actually from India. But, you know, I'd like to get your take on that.
Well, actually, my East Coast native people, we didn't discover him, but the West Indians discovered him, because he landed in West Indies.
Oh,
he never landed
Columbus.
on Turtle Island. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was real lost. You know, so I don't know what happened there, but then he did come back to Turtle Island, and then his son was the first African American slave trader. So again, remember, history basically is now starting to come out more and more. Remember when they first started Black History, it came out that yes, they invented the light bulb filters, yes, they invented, you know, the traffic light, you know, all the things they didn't know. They don't know that baseball and football are our sports. That's our sports. Yes, we invented the cotton dress. Yes, we You know, we invented Vaseline, penicillin. We were the first ones to do brain operations. I was the first Native American ever to make the national horse shows. You know, Devon, I went to all the major shows in Upperville, Virginia. I was the only person of color there at the time before BET Network came. So I was happy to make that transition. Now, then they called me Indian. It didn't offend me, but they were so polite at the major A shows. They actually asked me, what do I say? I just.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
With me, intent is like 3/4 of the conversation. And what I mean by that is earlier Steve Young was here talking about interactions with the police. I've had police tell me have a good day and stay out of trouble. But the way that they said it, they may as well say you dirty so-and-so. So, you know, that's why I said, you know, if somebody 60, 75 years old refers to me as colored, I'm not going, you know, fight the revolution on that person because, you know, colored was a good, about the best term they use. You know, that's what they call their good friends, you know, yeah. Oh yes, we love Mamie, she's our colored guy. That's how they referred to the man back in the day. So, you know, it doesn't really bother me. So is that the way you looked at it with regard to people referring to you as Indian? And then the second part of the question is, are you offended now? I'm relatively young. Would you be offended? And I wouldn't refer to you as Indian, but you know, would you find that to be an offensive term, like where we are now, May 5th, you know, 21st century?
Well, no, because a lot of people don't know about our people. Indian is fine. You know, it always was fine with me when I wrote with major shows and diplomats, and I had to teach a lot of the celebrities for movies and things like that. And, you know, even the big directors, you know, one of them said, and I can say this, she's our little Indian. But they didn't mean it that way. Of course, they were 78 years old.
See,
so you kind of looked at it as...
It'd be a whole different show.
But then when I looked at where she came from and how she was, it wasn't offensive because I knew she didn't mean it that way. Okay. But the most offensive is redskin, because that was when people, and it still is on the books, they actually skinned us and sold our skins, and it was more for the children than it was for the men. They were certain about the men, women, and children, and that's where the term redskin came from. And a lot of people know Indian summer comes from, and again, it's still in the books, is when you hunted and killed Indians just as you would with turkey or deer.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's crazy. It's crazy. This is the AM Project on the Arts and Music Network. You can find us online at artsandmusicnetwork.info. You know, I'm relatively a relatively new reformed Native American. I wouldn't say racist, but maybe bigot is the word, and maybe bigot is too harsh of a word. But I know I was insensitive, and I can tell you one of my favorite caps I used to love this cap was I had a white Cleveland Indian baseball cap with the emblem, the chief, the smiling chief on it. And shout out to Larry Lee. He was the one who got me to understand what was going on. Because the first thing he said, okay, now you see that emblem on your hat? Make that a Sambo. Is it still fly?
Correct.
I was like, correct. Wow.
Correct. That's what
he said, make it a Sambo. He said, you like it. Now, if it's a Sambo and you can sport it in this fly, or a lawn jockey, and if it ain't fly, if it's a lawn jockey or a Sambo, I can't tell you to take it off, but you got to make your own decision. You know, the other thing is, he said, and I didn't even know they were doing this at the Braves game. They do the tomahawk. Yeah. And he said, now you're a Christian. Imagine you go to a game with people waving crosses and drinking beer and shouting and high fiving. He said, now that's how they feel. Is that pretty accurate or a pretty good analogy?
That was excellent. That was the perfect analogy.
I wish I could take credit for that.
Well, let's shout out to Larry Lee. It was excellent because a lot of people don't understand that. And I'm actually getting a lot more sympathy with that.
Well, that's what woke me up. I'm sorry, go ahead. It's not about me, but that's what I'm just saying. That's what woke me up.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of sympathy with that because I'm starting to work with even a lot more directors behind the scene. And as you know, recently a friend of mine let me, it's called 5 Point Farms. They said I can bring some of my celebrity friends, get them ready for movies if they need to ride, or if they want someplace private to ride and teach or whatever. So it's great, you know, or they want to film, they want to do some filming. So it's absolutely great, and that place is wonderful.
Well, since you brought it up and we are starting to run close on time, tell us about the horses and the rides and the different things that you do with the horses, because you can actually you do everything, if I'm not mistaken, from give little kids rides to actually train people to ride for a film.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I trained quite a few people to ride for film. I'm very behind the scenes quiet, and a lot of directors know me because I am quiet about it. And remember when you had like say I had Donald Trump's daughter at one time, and when you go to a private farm, remember they don't want a lot of people around, you don't know who you can trust, you know, they're stalkers. So I'm very personal about it. And I was also with the diplomat of Israel, his grandchildren, and I had them. And then there's other directors that use me quietly, you know, they'll come up to New York, we need you, things like that. So, and also I had the horses on the beach in Atlantic City, and that was fun, you know, it was a lot of fun. And I understand the new mayor again wants that back. So between me going back and forth with New York and New Jersey, it's been great.
Okay. All right. My guest is Pearl Running Deer from the First Nation.
First Nation.
First Nation. Real quick, do you have a website, contact information in case people want to reach out to you and get more information about First Nation, about your horse riding business, the whole 9 yards?
Yes, I talk to a lot of people on my Fans of Pearl Running Deer website on the Facebook, and also on Twitter. I have a lot of people I talk to, and celebrities and all, and they can always reach me under Pearl Running Deer on that with Twitter as well.
Okay. Alrighty. Anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
First, I'd like to thank you for having me. It was really sweet of you to have me. And second of all, I'd like to thank my friends in New York right now. They're shooting that in Long Island, and I think they're
New York, are they shooting film or are they actually like shooting?
No, they're shooting. No, this is a movie set.
Oh, okay.
And this is when they did some scenes, a little bit with Spider-Man that's out now. They have a movie studio.
Okay.
So once in a while, there's a couple people up that way asked me to help them cast a few films, as you know, because you checked.
Right.
I'm helping with casting and things like that. And discreet, they asked me to get certain actors or certain people on the quiet. And I do believe they did mention you about coming up during the summer.
Oh, okay.
And I gave them highly, told them that you would mind coming up to visit their film festival.
Oh, no, not at all. I just had the opportunity, shout out to the Atlantic City Film Festival.
Right.
I just had the opportunity to host one of their screenings a couple weeks ago. Great film.
Yeah,
so,
I was there with Diane Ladd. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Diane Ladd. Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I wasn't with Laura Dern, I was with her mom.
Okay, cool.
And Ed Asher.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
okay,
yeah, I was
great.
with the
Great.
reading.
Great. You know what? I missed Ed Ashman too. I always liked him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the AM Project, Arts and Music Network.info, and this is my good friend Pearl Running Deer. When we do the behind the scenes part, I tell you about how far back me and Pearl go. Not quite back to 1888, but not to 2000 either. All right, so our next